Have you ever been through this? You sleep, black out, and then out of nowhere, as if someone had pressed a button inside your head, you wake up at exactly 3 a.m. And it's not that normal waking up, turning over, and going back to sleep. It's a strange waking up with the body tired but the mind working as if it were midday. The heart seems more alert, the chest tightens, the breath becomes short, and when you look into the dark, the feeling is almost the same. That's it. It happened again. Now let me ask you a very direct and provocative question. What if I told you that you don't wake up at 3 a.m. because of bad luck, but because of an invisible mistake that you repeat every night? A mistake so common that it seems normal, but it makes your brain pull you out of sleep as if there was an emergency happening. Because the truth is that many people think that this is insomnia, that it is an emotional problem, that it is uncontrolled anxiety, or even that it is weakness. But most of the time, this is your body going to sleep the wrong way. Pay attention to this. Your body even sleeps, but your nervous system doesn't turn off. You go to bed, close your eyes, fall asleep, but inside your body remains in alert mode. It's as if you slept with the alarm set, as if you were resting with the handbrake on. And then the sleep just gets a little lighter, and it stays there at around 3 in the morning, and the brain does a safety check, a scan, a silent question he always asks. Is everything safe? And if the answer is I don't know, it wakes you up. This is the point that almost no one understands. Your brain is not trying to harm you. He's trying to protect you. But he doesn't know how to differentiate a real threat from an internal threat. For him, silent anxiety, accumulated stress, excess mental control and tension in the body are signs of danger, and it doesn't have to be an open panic. Sometimes it's just that constant discomfort, that internal pressure, that feeling that you never really switch off. All day long you hold on, you resolve, you push, and at night the body lies down, but it doesn't trust that it's safe enough to sleep deeply. And then your body gives you very clear signals, but you're used to ignoring them. Jaw clenched, tongue pressed against the roof of your mouth, neck stiff, shoulders tense, chest tight, as if you were prepared to react without even realizing it. The mind tries to control everything, replaying thoughts, remembering things, anticipating tomorrow. And this set makes the brain understand that it is not time to switch off. He even lets you sleep, but with a watchman awake inside. That's why the 3 a.m. wake-up call is so classic. Because at this time, sleep tends to become lighter, and the brain takes the opportunity to check the environment and its internal state. If he encounters tension, even if small, he pulls you into a state of alert. And then you open your eyes, feel your mind racing and think, what do I do now? But before we talk about what to do when you wake up, you need to understand how to prevent it from starting. And the good news is, you can turn off this alert system before bed with simple, quick, and real techniques. The first is long exhalation breathing because it tells the brain, there is no danger. You inhale for a count of 4 and exhale for a count of 8. It sounds silly, but it's pure biology. Long exhalations calm the nervous system and reduce the state of vigilance. The second technique is to relax the jaw and tongue, because where there is tension there is alertness. And the third is a mental unloading ritual. You take a piece of paper and write down for 2 minutes everything that is worrying you, without filtering, just to get it out of your head. Because when you do this, you send the right message to your brain. You are safe now. And when the brain truly understands this, it doesn't need to wake you up at 3 a.m. to check it out. And this is exactly where the most important part comes in, because there is a detail that almost no one does, and that completely changes the way the brain behaves at this early hour. And that is what I will show you in the next part. And now I want you to stop for 2 seconds and be very honest with me. How many times have you woken up at 3 a.m. and thought, this is going to ruin me? Because the problem isn't just waking up. The problem is what happens afterwards. You open your eyes, and before you even realize it, your mind has already gone into resolve your life mode. You start thinking about things that shouldn't even exist at that moment. Old problems, decisions for the next day, unresolved conversation, responsibility, bill, fear, future. And suddenly you are there, in bed, in the dark, with your body exhausted, and your brain working as if you were in an office. And that's why understanding the error that makes your brain wake up at 3 a.m. isn't just curious, it's liberating. Because when you finally understand that your body sleeps, but your nervous system doesn't shut down, you stop blaming yourself and start acting the right way. You get out of that cycle of I have insomnia, I'm anxious, there's something wrong with me, and you start to see that your brain is protecting you from a danger that it thinks exists. Now tell me, does what I describe sound like you? Do you also feel like you go to bed tired but inside you don't switch off? That the body lies down, but the mind remains alert? That your chest feels tense, your jaw locks, and sleep seems fragile, as if anything could wake you up? Because if so, I want to ask you something now, and it's really important to me. Comment below on the phrase, "My brain doesn't shut off." Just that. Comment, "My brain doesn't shut off." This isn't just for engagement, okay? It's because when you write this, you admit to yourself that you understand what's going on, and you also help other people who are reading the comments and think they're alone in this fight. There are a lot of people going through this in silence, feeling strange, feeling weak, and when they see someone saying, "I go through this too," they breathe a sigh of relief. And enjoy. If this video opens your eyes, leave a like now. Serious. The like seems small, but it sends a strong signal to YouTube that this content needs to reach more people. Because there are people waking up at 3 a.m. today, exactly today, and thinking they will never sleep properly again. And a video like this could be the first step to breaking this cycle. Now pay attention, because what I'm going to tell you here is the big game changer. And a lot of people don't like to hear this because it seems too simple. But it's exactly because it seems simple that it goes unnoticed. You can do breathing, you can try to relax, you can even drink tea, you can try to empty your mind. But if you keep making this mistake every night, it's like trying to put out a fire by throwing a glass of water on a burning building. And the mistake is this: wrong light and stimuli at night mess with your biological clock and train your brain to wake up at 3 a.m. Because let me explain it to you very clearly. Your brain is old. It was not designed to deal with a screen, LED, white lighting, cell phone in the face, accelerated series, notification, bad news, video jumping to the subject every 3 seconds. For thousands and thousands of years, the human brain has learned a very simple rule. Light means day, darkness means night. Light means activity, movement, alertness, survival. Dark means pause, rest, recovery. But today, we live as if it were normal to do the opposite. We live as if it were normal to have dinner in bright light, lie down with the screen on our face, scroll through feeds in the dark, respond to messages in bed, watch fast-paced videos before going to sleep, and still think that the body will understand that it's time to switch off. And do you know what happens when you do that? You trick your own brain. Artificial light plus screen at night. Your brain confuses night with day. And the worst part, he doesn't confuse a little. He's really confusing, because the light that messes up the brain the most isn't just bright light, it's the wrong light. That white, bluish, cold light that seems harmless. The cell phone light, the TV light, the LED light, the bathroom light, the light in the hallway. These lights are like a silent command telling your brain, stay awake, stay alert. It's not time to sleep yet. And then invisible damage happens that almost no one notices. You reduce melatonin and increase internal alertness. Melatonin is that hormone that doesn't knock you down, but prepares your body for deep sleep, for rest, for real recovery. But when you expose yourself to this type of light late at night, melatonin drops. And when melatonin drops, your sleep becomes different. You even sleep, but it's a light, shallow, fragile sleep. It's as if the body dozes off but doesn't go into that deep shutdown mode. You know what I'm talking about. You lie down, turn off, but it seems like any little thing could wake you up. You wake up easily. You feel like you haven't fallen asleep. You feel like you haven't rested. And here comes the part that gives the shock. This shallow sleep is the perfect ground for waking up at 3 a.m. Because around this time, your body naturally begins a transition. Sleep actually becomes lighter. And if your sleep was already light from the beginning, then it becomes a trap. This is where a spike in cortisol can appear. And calm down. This is important. Cortisol is not the villain. Cortisol is a necessary hormone. It helps you wake up in the morning. It gives you energy. It participates in the body's natural rhythm. But when you mess with your biological clock and add light and stimulation at the wrong time, you shift this rhythm. Your body loses the map of day and night. And then what was supposed to be a natural awakening at 6, 7 a.m. appears as a mini awakening at 3. And when you wake up at this time, your brain goes into that mode. Process everything. It tries to organize thoughts, tries to make sense of what you saw before going to sleep, tries to resolve accumulated emotion, tries to review the day, tries to predict tomorrow. And that's when that terrible feeling comes. You're sleepy, but you're awake. The body is tired, but the brain is working. And then you turn over, breathe, try to sleep, and the mind seems to have gained more strength. And then you start to wonder, why do I always wake up at this time? And I answer you, because you trained your brain for this without realizing it. And here I want this phrase to be engraved in your mind because it's worth gold. It's like sleeping in a sleep that isn't deep enough to hold your mind. You sleep, but you don't dive. You turn it off, but you don't turn it off. And when it doesn't turn off, any internal stimulus becomes a reason to wake you up. Now let me tell you something that may seem harsh, but is a liberating truth. There are people who spend years thinking they have an insomnia problem, when in fact they have a hygiene problem from nighttime stimulation. The person lives all night throwing light and information into the brain, and then wants the brain to be silent. It's like putting a band playing inside your head and then asking them to stop out of nowhere. Don't stop. Because the brain needs transition. He needs to slow down. He needs to understand that the environment is safe, dark, and predictable. So now let's get to the practical part, because I don't want you to leave this video with theory. I want you to come out with action. The first thing that changes everything is what I call the last sacred hour. The 60 minutes before bed are the most decisive time for your deep sleep. And during this period, you need to do one simple but powerful thing. Lower the lights and lower the stimulus. Low, warm light. This is essential. It's changing that white light for a more yellowish, soft light. It's transforming your room into a real place to sleep. The brain needs to look at the environment and think, okay, the night has arrived. The second thing, reduce screen and brightness. It's not stop using your cell phone forever. It's about stopping using it as if it were normal to use it on your face with high shine, in the dark. If you are going to use it, reduce brightness, put on night mode, move it away from your face, and most of all, avoid speeding things up. Because the problem isn't just the light, it's the content. There are people who sleep with their brains in war mode because they watched bad news, discussions, quick videos, controversy, social comparisons, perfect people on Instagram. The mind becomes inflamed, and an inflamed mind doesn't sleep. So in this last hour, no stimulating content, nothing that accelerates your emotion, nothing that puts you too high or too low, no discussions, no news, no accelerated videos, without anything that causes you anger, anxiety, pressure. If you want something to do, choose something neutral, light reading, calm music, a warm bath, a quiet conversation. And finally, the solution that seems simple, but changes nights, blocking light in the room. Dark room, really dark, because any small, minimal light already sends a signal to the brain. Router light, charger light, hallway light, window light. All of this communicates it's still daylight here. If you can, use blackout curtains. And if you can't, use what you have. And if possible, wear a sleeping mask. The mask is a powerful trick because it creates total night even in a bright environment. And total night makes the brain shut down more deeply. And now the question I want to ask you is, can you see how this connects with the mistake of waking up at 3 a.m.? Because it's not bad luck. It's not destiny. It's physiology. It's a biological clock. It's nervous system. It's nocturnal stimulation. And when you get this right, you not only sleep better, you stop having that sudden awakening that my brain betrayed me feeling. And in the next part, I'll show you something even more important. What you do when you wake up at 3 a.m. may be reinforcing this problem without you realizing it. And there is a simple rule that cuts this cycle in the bud. But before I get into this rule, I need you to understand one last psychological trigger that makes many people wake up at exactly this time, as if it were programmed. Because yes, there is one last trigger that almost no one notices, but which is the cruelest of all, because it doesn't just depend on the body or just on the light or just on the hormone. It depends on something that happens inside your head without you noticing. And when this trigger sets in, it's as if your brain creates a programmed alarm, an invisible alarm clock. And the name of this trigger is the fear of waking up at 3 a.m. I know this seems paradoxical. It even seems absurd. But that's exactly how the brain works. You're so afraid of waking up at 3 that you end up waking up at 3. And when you understand that, a lot of things fall into place. Because maybe you think your problem is just insomnia, just anxiety, just a light sleep. But in practice, sometimes what is holding you back in this cycle is emotional programming. Think with me. Have you ever experienced that situation where night comes and you start to feel heavy just thinking about sleeping? You look at the bed and you already feel a tightness as if a fight is about to start. The day is over, the body is tired, but the mind is starting to anticipate. What if I wake up again? I hope I can sleep properly today. I hope I don't wake up at 3 a.m. I need to rest because tomorrow I have to wake up early. And that's it. At that very moment, without realizing it, you planted the seed of the cycle. And look how crazy. Your brain doesn't interpret that thought as hope. He interprets it as a threat. Because when you think, I hope I don't wake up, you're telling your brain, there's something dangerous that could happen during the night. And then the brain does what it always does when it senses danger. It watches. He stays alert. He doesn't relax completely. He sleeps with one eye open. And you may even fall asleep. But you don't go into that deep sleep that holds you until morning. And this is where conditioning comes in, which is a word that sounds technical, but it's simple. The brain learns through repetition. If you've woken up several times at 3 a.m., frustrated, anxious, playing on your cell phone, thinking too much, your brain starts to associate things. It creates an automatic equation. Bed, threat sleep, tension dawn, danger. And this becomes emotional conditioning. You lie down, but the body already lies down suspiciously. You close your eyes, but the mind remains like a watchman. And then sleep becomes superficial. And guess what? Any minimal oscillation in sleep, any natural micro-awakening, becomes a complete awakening, with the mind switched on. And now I want you to observe yourself honestly, because maybe this is happening to you and you never named it like this. How many times have you woken up in the middle of the night, and before you even fully open your eyes, you were already in tension? As if you already knew it was that time, as if your body recognized the script, and then you do what 90% of people do, and by accident, you seal the cycle. You pick up your cell phone. You pick up your cell phone because you want control. You want to know the time. You want to measure the damage. You want to be sure what's going on. But the cell phone at this moment is gasoline on the fire. The first thing you do is look at the time. And when you see 03:07 or 03:12, the brain registers, I knew it. Here it comes again. This is bad. And that's it. You've just confirmed to your brain that this time is important, that this schedule deserves attention, that this time has meaning, and brain loves meaning. Brain loves pattern. From then on, the mind starts to process everything. She opens the black box. She scans the day. She creates the scene. She looks worried. She tries to sort out her entire life at 3 a.m. And there's a clear reason. At this time, you're vulnerable, you're tired, you're in the dark, there's no distraction. So your thoughts become gigantic. They look more real than they are. The problem seems bigger. The future looks more ominous. And the brain, instead of shutting down, activates the alert state even more. And do you know what happens when this happens again? The brain learns that 3 a.m. is the time to wake up, not because he wants to torture you, but because he has learned a neurological habit. He learned a routine, and routine is something the brain loves. That's why some people say, I wake up at the same time every day. Of course, you programmed this without realizing it. His body became a clock, an emotional watch. Now here comes the part that changes everything. It is not force that solves this problem, it's strategy. Because the more you try to sleep hard, the more your brain understands that something is wrong. The more you despair, the more you create threat. And the more threat, the more surveillance. And the more you watch, the more you awaken. So now I'm going to give you the quickest and most real techniques to break this cycle. And I want you to memorize it as if it were a law, because this thing could save your morning. The first is the 3 a.m. rule. 3 simple rules that seem silly, but are exactly what rewires the brain. First rule, don't look at the clock. I know it feels good. It gives me enormous anxiety. But looking at the clock is like stamping in your mind. This is happening again, and this reinforces the pattern. Second rule, don't pick up your cell phone. Cell phones have light, stimulation, dopamine, information, anxiety. Even if you say, I'll just watch the time, there is no alone. Your brain already turns on. Your eye already receives light. Your nervous system already interprets it as day. Third rule, don't try to sleep hard. This is the most difficult, because you want to close your eyes and erase, but trying to sleep hard puts you in a fight, and fighting is alert. You turn the bed into a ring, and the brain doesn't sleep in the ring. So what do you do when you wake up? You use the most powerful practical technique, turning off your mind through your mind. I send it right, and the right command is this: if I woke up, it's okay. My job now is to rest, not sleep. Pay attention to this sentence. It is magical because it removes urgency. She takes away the threat. It takes away despair. And when you take away the despair, you take away the alert. Did you wake up? Beauty. Breathe slowly. Long exhalation. And he repeats in his mind, my job now is to rest, because sleep is a consequence. The more you try to force it, the more it runs away. The more you relax control, the more it comes back. And there's one more important point. If you woke up and stayed there rolling, for a long time the bed starts to become a place of frustration. The mind begins to associate bed with insomnia. So there is a smart strategy. If a lot of time has passed and you realize that you are more awake than sleepy, you get up. But lift it the right way. Low light, no bright light, no cell phone, no screen. Go to another environment and do something light, repetitive, and emotionless. I call this boring activity. It could be boring reading, it could be skimming through something simple, it could be breathing while sitting down. The objective is just one: to get the brain out of the fighting state. And when sleep comes, you come back. Don't come back out of obligation. It comes back by biological signal. And this re-educates your brain with a clear message. Bed is for sleeping, not for suffering. And what I want you to understand is that this topic is not just about technique, it's about regaining confidence. Because when you lose confidence in sleep, you go to war with the night. And when you go to war with the night, you lose. But when you understand that the cycle is conditioned and that it can be reprogrammed, you start to feel safe again. And it is at this point that the dawn stops being an enemy. And now that you understand the big cycle, wrong light, wrong stimulus, and fear that conditions awakening, I need to show you how to put together a simple ritual that prepares the brain to not enter this state, and how to turn off the alert before going to bed. Because there is a 4-minute sequence that makes the body understand the day is over. And when you apply this, you realize something surreal. You start sleeping without thinking about sleeping. And that's when you finally go straight. Past 3 a.m. Before I give you this sequence, comment below if you identified with this on some level. I want you to write one of these phrases in the comments. I wake up at 3 a.m. or my fear is dawn. And if this video makes sense to you, leave a like now and subscribe to the channel, because the next step is exactly what separates those who get stuck in this cycle from those who finally go back to sleeping like before. And now comes the most important part. What to do exactly when you wake up at 3 a.m. to turn off your brain in 2 minutes without medication and without suffering. Because there is a simple technique that changes this instantly, and I'll show you in the next video. But first, if you identified with this at some point, if you've ever experienced this scene of waking up at dawn with your body tired and your mind turned on, then I really want to ask you something. Subscribe to the channel now, because this type of content can literally save your nights, and it's not an exaggeration. Sleeping well changes everything: your energy, your mood, your anxiety, your disposition, your life. And if you made it this far to the end, you deserve recognition. And I want to see you in the comments. Comment one of these sentences for me below. I wake up at 3 a.m. or else, today I'm going to sleep. Choose one and comment now, because this shows me that you are with me until the end. And it also helps this video reach more people who are suffering in silence with this same problem. Oh, and leave a like too. The like is the signal for YouTube to deliver this video to more people. And you can be sure that there are a lot of people who need to hear this today. And now do the following. Watch the next video that appears on the screen, because there I will show you the exact technique for you to use when you wake up at 3 a.m. That simple technique that makes your brain understand it's okay, you can go back to sleep.